in one of the previous videos, you saw this structure here, which is the hierarchy for all the elements in your HTML page. So on the left, you see the hierarchy structure, and on the right, you see the HTML that matches that. In this video, I'm going to explain how to use JavaScript to access these individual elements so that you can either get or retrieve a value or set or change a value. So if we go over to this searching the DOM, these are the 5 different selectors we can use. Get element by ID, get elements by tag name, get elements by class name, query selector all, and query selector. So I'm going to go through each of these in some code. This program here, let's take a look at the HTML first. So in the body, right, here's my open body tag. I have a simple p tag, open close. I do have a table structure, and inside the table structure, I have 2 rows. One row has these th elements without an ID, without a class. In this tr row here, the second one, I have these tds with classes. So notice that they all have the same class. And then finally, this last paragraph here has an ID of values. So now we can try those different selectors with each of these different elements on the page. So if I go over to the script, notice that I have a lot of the JavaScript already written. I'm just going to go through one at a time. So the first one is document.getElementById. And I want to highlight first the syntax. So we start with referencing the document itself. Okay, and then inside that document, basically you're drilling down after the period, you're drilling down to an individual item here. So now we're going to go get an element by its ID. And then followed by parentheses, so now specify the ID in quotation marks, the ID is values. So it's going to find this element here. And notice that I just sent it out to the console log so we can take a look at it. I'm going to open up my developer tools. And right here is the first console log. Notice that it returns the entire element, including the open tag, the close tag, and its content. All right, let's take a look at the second one. So the second one I'm going to use is by tag name. Now, when you're using by tag name, it's going to retrieve an array of the entire tag. So notice that I've used it in 2 different ways. The first one is by itself. It's going to retrieve the entire array. The second one is with an index. This is going to reference only that element that has the subscript 2, right? So 0, 1, 2. And so let's go find this first. So let's go find the THs. And so here's my TH, right? My header row on my table. And 0, 1, 2 should retrieve Wednesday. The first statement that I have, this get elements by tag name, will retrieve the entire node. So let's take a look at that. And here's the first console log, right? Notice that it's got all 5 elements in it. And here is the specific one with index 2, and it retrieves Wednesday. I'm going to comment these out so there's no confusion as we look at these. So the third selector I'm going to demonstrate is get elements by class name. And so again, this works very similar to the tag name. It's going to go after the class, though, and find everything with the class course name. So again, look at the syntax and notice that in the parentheses here, in quotation marks, we specify the class. And if I scroll up to the top, that's each of these here. So the first statement is going to retrieve the entire array. The second statement is going to retrieve the element with index 1. So for us, that's 0, 1. Right here, it should be free day. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to refresh the page. And here it is, free day. And this is all of them. So notice that it's TD period course, right? So it's got each of those 5 different items there. Okay, let's take a look at the fourth selector. And the fourth selector is query selector all. So you know a query is asking a question, right? Selector all, that tells me that it's going to retrieve everything. So in this case, again, works very similar to the class name and the tag name in that it's going to take whatever tag you specify here, and it's going to retrieve all of them at the same time. So let's take a look at how that displays. And notice that it does the same thing. It's this td.course, retrieves all of them, and tells you it's the node list. And that's what the query selector all does for you. And then finally, I'm going to leave that one just so you can compare them side by side. But here you have document.querySelector. And so here it's going to retrieve the first TD it encounters in the list. So instead of retrieving the array, it just returns the first one. And there's that first one for you. And again, it's got the whole, open, close tag and the content inside.